Hello everyone and welcome to today's video in which I will update you guys on some of the things that have been done in this past couple of days in the project. So first of all, I designed this creature and then I made a block out of the creature in Blender. It's a block out, but it's more like a very basic 3D model instead. This one, and then I did a very simple animation. You can see here, this one is when it's roaming around, and then this one is when it's attacking. So when I imported the 3D model, I also did this control rig. It was a big headache working on this one. I followed a couple of tutorials, watched a couple of videos, went on to the what is it called again, the documentation to check some stuff. It was yeah, because it's the first time I do a control rig. After doing the control rig, I did this physics assets. So this one you can see PA Levaa. The physics asset, of course it's thankfully it's not complicated compared to this nightmare here. And I also did the animation. After this one is done, because of the way it's done, you can see here, the animation becomes much simpler. Animating this one becomes way simpler, moving some bones around and placing them where you want, and then triggering the animation. So that's it for this one. And of course tested it in engine here just to have an idea of what it looks like. This one right now I'm using the normal animation, not this one. I haven't set up a proper blueprint yet that uses this ABP. Same with this one. You can see that it's using just the normal attack. So the bones, the secondary animations are not triggered yet. I hope you guys will enjoy this video and leave a like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. And now that I'm done with the concept, I will move on to the 3D and start with a basic shape here in Blender. Like you can see, just a cube, of course, because this one is the cube that comes in with Blender. As of tradition, I have to remove it and create a new cube, and here we go. Alright, so now that we have the snake 3D model kinda done, not really done, but kinda done, you can see that its topology is not too bad. I also already did the what is it called again? The UV mapping, and right now the only thing left is to export it in Unreal Engine. And for exporting, what I recommend you to do is, when you go to export, export as FBX, and of course you have your snake and armature selected. So in here, limited to selected objects only, you select armature and mesh, and then, very important, you should forward the Z forward in Unreal, because when you look at Unreal usual geometry, or the usual way they have their bones faced, is X forward, and usually the up and down is Y and not Z. So we have forward, actually no, X forward, up will be the Y axis, or we can actually have Z up, so it's fine because this is the transform. So we will have forward is X, up is Y. However, in the armature, what we want to do is have X as the primary bone, which is the bone that goes along the spine, and the secondary bone, which is the bone that goes left and right, will be the Z-axis, which means the up and down will become the Y-axis. And we will see it in a bit in Unreal Engine. And then, of course, we don't have animation. We can uncheck the animation checkbox. Also leaf bone, we don't have leaf bone, only deform bone. And then, of course, you just save it, export. I already done it. And alright, so after Blender, we import our skeletal mesh here in Unreal Engine. We can just drag and drop it from our folder into Unreal Engine here. And then what I did was make this control rig. You can see that the control rig, which is here. So this control rig over here will control the animation of the snake. You can see here it controls the animation, and this one over here, controls actually, let me just fix this. Okay, this one controls the in-game rig itself. If let's say I move this left and right, you can see that our little snake is following, our snake creature is following this sphere right here. And with that, I also made an animation blueprint. You can see the animation blueprint. I can go into locomotion, idle / patrol. So this view here shows the idle movement when he's just patrolling, moving or slithering around, and this one is when he's attacking. Of course, some part will go underground. I will show later on what it looks like in game. So this one is when he's attacking, and when we go in game and I select this one, you can see it might be a bit dark, but yeah, this is the animation when he's attacking. Hop, hop, small animation that I did here directly in Unreal Engine, because in Blender I didn't do that. I find it kind of easier, or maybe because I'm not used to Blender animation that much, but I found it easier to do the animation in Unreal Engine directly. Maybe a tutorial later on about that will come to the channel. So now we have this, and if let's say I select him, come on, okay, I select this one and I change the animation from attack to just movement, you'll see that he's moving as well, although it's much rougher than this movement here. Than this movement. This one is much more fluid and smooth. I still need to figure out the reason why it's not using the exact same animation as this, or actually probably because of this one. I'm using this and I didn't bake the smaller details in the animation itself from here. So instead of baking for the animation, instead of baking directly these, so using directly the branch to bake it, I baked only the primary animations and everything else is simulated. That's why it looks like this. And if we place both actors next to one another and we simulate, this is what we get. One is attacking and one is moving. Of course, later on, once I do a proper blueprint for this one, instead of using an animation asset, I will be using this ABP, which is an animation blueprint. And if you look at the animation blueprint, like I showed a bit earlier, it's much better, more smooth, nicer to look at compared to this rough one over here. which only use primary bones in order to move. The other way that I could do is, instead of when I bake the animation, instead of only baking the primary bones, I can bake the entire animation, which is kind of better, because right now I'm using, in this control rig, I'm using primary animation. So I bake the animation here, only the primary bones, which is basically the bones that are in the head and head, the first spine. Actually, I can just go to the physics asset here. So I only bake the head, the first spine, and the tailbone, which is why it moves so strangely. You can see the way it moves extremely strange, not natural. While in the animation blueprint, I'm actually using the entire physics, so the drag of the other bones, which is seen here. Let's see if I disable how it will behave. Okay, yeah, in the animation it's important to have this one in order to have the secondary bones bake properly. And you can see the animation is quite nice. So that's this part of the video. There are other things that I was doing. For instance, actually, yeah, this one. When you import, you import your asset, your skeletal mesh here in Unreal Engine, it's important to have or to set up your physics assets, which is PA. They have to, or they should ideally encompass the 3D model, and really, in order to have good physics, basically. This one, of course, it can be a little bit, no, not this one. I learned my lesson. It's better to change the length here. So this length can be tweaked directly here. And I can move it slightly down like this. So this is better. And with that, we get the scene we have right now. I can test it, of course. Let's remove this one and click on play. So if I click on play, you can see the snake is moving here. This attack movement, one of them is just moving on the ground. Of course, if I get close to this player, he will attack me. This is the aerial attack, and the player is dead. Right now, because there is no cooldown on the aerial attack, if I do it, he can basically float, infinitely floating. It becomes another way of locomotion. Yeah, I like the punch. It's very fast and nice. Hopefully, once everything is set properly, I will be able to also do good animations for the snake and the other creatures that I will be doing in the next video. Actually, in the next video, I will do a quadrupedal creature, which is basically a creature that goes on 4 feet or legs, and it will be like a mix between wolf and wild dog, which will be another one of the main creatures that will be, or the player will find in the dungeons, or this dungeon, at least for the prototype. Yeah, you can see the physics here. If I interact with it, it moves left and right. Okie dokie. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you're looking forward to the next one. Until then, cheers.